Welcome to 11th edition, where we take an existing Magic card and design 10 more versions of it. I'm Tim.
I'm Dillon.
Today's card is Balance.
1 and a white, a sorcery. Each player chooses a number of lands he or she controls equal to the number of lands controlled by the player who controls the fewest, then sacrifices the rest. Players discard cards and sacrifice creatures the same way. The second edition here is Writ of Assessment. Comes with multi-kicker of 2 generic, and the ability is choose artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker, then choose another type for each time Writ of Assessment was kicked. For each chosen type, each player who controls more permanents of that type than you sacrifices a permanent of that type. Baseline is not a very good Cruel Edict, but
if you get real lucky, you can go Casualties of War mode. Were you thinking kind of Azorius flavor here?
adding these types on and kind of sounded like coming up with a bill in legislature.
This could also have a fit in conspiracy type environment where you can potentially hit stuff from multiple other players.
Yeah.
Whatever the planeswalker of the set is, you get to nail that.
Yeah, generally in limited, you're not going to have your own planeswalker.
Yeah. Or you just minus your planeswalker off the board and say, oh, and you lose yours too.
All right, what do you got?
Third edition, Planar Q. If a permanent would enter the battlefield, if that player controls more than 10 permanents, exile it instead. At the beginning of each end step, if a player owns a card exiled by Planar Q and controls 10 or less permanents, they may put one of those cards onto the battlefield.
Okay, nice. We're setting the number of permanents that you can have, 10.
You're kind of mixing a little bit with like a limited resources.
A little bit like Endless Horizons, stock these permanents outside of the battlefield and slowly bring them back.
Form an orderly line to
Right.
Shout outs to random eventide rares.
It lets you get up to the city's blessing.
Yeah, you're allowed to ascend, but only barely.
Do I want to play cards into this because you have the risk of losing everything if the enchantment itself is lost?
The jail's gone. Now everybody gets out. There's no clause there.
Right.
Would this be better if you exile it until Planar Q leaves the battlefield?
It would be kind of a fun game for everybody to load up past 10
and
see what's happening.
Yeah.
How soon can we break the bubble and get everything back?
Yeah, because then you're not like punishing people for loading their cards into this enchantment that might just die.
Yeah. Fourth edition, getting out of white, have lives in the balance. Each player who controls more creatures than the number of creature cards in their graveyard sacrifices a creature.
Oh.
Each player who controls fewer creatures than the number of creature cards in their graveyard may put a creature card from their graveyard onto the battlefield.
Ooh, this is like a little living deathy.
Balance and living death are both in the suspend cycle time spiral.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe I've just repeated that.
I'm the Golgari player. I'm probably going to end up in the second camp.
Yeah, that's the goal, right?
Starts out doing nothing. Middle of the game gets really good. As it goes towards the end of the game, it gets kind of wild card because you're probably both bringing something back. If you put this card in your deck, you know that you're going to get probably the best thing that anybody gets back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a game where they're going to get their Sun Titan back. You're going to get like Razaketh or something insane back. Get 4 or 5 cards out of it.
Kind of gets farther away from balance, but if you're counting, do I have more or less of this thing? And then I adjust to that.
My 5th edition is Righteous Nix Wind. Each opponent who controls more permanents than you or has more cards in hand than you sacrifices a permanent or discards a card. Storm.
Trigger my counterbalance.
Oh.
Other equity.
But I just stormed off at 11 already.
Well, I'm taking advantage of your storm.
Oh, no.
Pull out all my ideas. Other equity. Cast a spell only if you've cast no other spells this turn. Exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Storm.
Wait, this just a storm card? Is this balance?
Balances all the spells that you played in the storm count. I get to play that many spells.
Cast that only... Oh! I'm dependent on my opponent casting a bunch of stuff, and then I come all the way back.
Mine's Desire, but you can't set it up yourself.
Whoa! Either I have a deck that's like a lot of instants so that I can get my equity on an opponent's turn, or I need to somehow counterspell bait my opponents into some war on my turn.
You can't cast it if you cast any spells on your turn.
Oh, I need... I need to somehow
need 2 opponents to be in a counter war.
Yeah, I need to attack Tony with a creature. Tony needs that to not happen. He goes to cast a removal spell. Maria says, nope, I need that to hit. goes to counter that, and then Andy comes over the top and counters that. I just like steeple my fingers and just like goad people in. This is amazing.
Some kind of group hug stuff. Give mana to everybody and profit. Yeah.
I'm still reeling from that last one, but my 7th edition is auto-balancing Dynamo lever. Artifact contraption.
Ooh.
Whenever you crank auto-balancing Dynamo lever, if a player controls more lands than each other player, that player sacrifices a land. Repeat this process for creatures and cards in hand.
All right. Get the riggers in on the balance action.
Is this going to doom you occasionally?
You gotta not pull ahead during your other turns of the sprocket.
So you can have a lot of sprockets. Maybe that's your out, because no one's going to lose artifacts off of this.
Oh, yeah.
So your contraptions are safe. If you know you're behind now, you set it in like a close sprocket. And if you're like, I've actually still got a lot of cards in hand, then you set it as far away as you can. So you got a couple cranks.
Yeah, that's something that we didn't really see with any of the contraptions. Almost every one, I just want to put it on the next sprocket and get that effect as soon as I can, unless they were comboing with some other effect on one of the sprockets. This does call back again to restore balance.
Oh,
it's got the suspend, and you know that it's coming, and everybody's scrambling to get rid of their cards or drop to whatever everyone else has. For my 8th edition, Tadrian, the Hand of Justice. Each creature assigns combat damage equal to the power of the attacking or blocking creature with the least power.
Whoa.
For 3 and a red, until end of turn, change the text of Tadrian, Hand of Justice, by replacing least with greatest.
Okay. All right. All right. So we got the new Hand of Justice.
Yes.
The empires fell long ago.
I knew you would pick up my Sarpedia reference.
Oh, yeah.
Got that 2/6 stat line.
The 2/6, it's kind of interactive with the ability of the card.
Yeah.
Because it caps attacks against you at 2 power.
It's actually, it's better if it's a 0/6.
Yeah.
Because you can block and stop all damage, right?
That's amazing. Tadrian has to like skip leg day, but also still do a couple curls. And then you can switch it.
I ran out of room. I played with having a green activation.
Oh, okay.
Which would change the text by replacing power with toughness. It seems like a fun commander because you can do it on other people's turns during their combat.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about other players' turns. Holy cow.
This is a little bit inspired by equal treatment.
So it sort of like makes everybody deal 2 damage, which is the default mode for Tadrian here.
It's kind of a fog and could be a pump spell.
I guess if you've got your board full of Eldrazi spawn and goats,
yes,
then Tadrian's going to lead the charge.
You want like 1 6 power guy, and then everything else is 1s, because you can flip everything, turn the scales, and make all your power 6 when you're on the attack.
Oh, yeah.
Hold everybody down to 1 when they're attacking you.
Right, 9th edition here. Dillon's got 1 more card. I've got a whole pile here, so I'm going to have to discard a couple of these. I'm probably going to be discarding Absolutely Completely Balanced, High Wire, Robbery, Heavenly Balance. I don't think I can keep the balance between guilds. Unbalancing Act. All right, I think I'm going to go with 9th edition. The scales tip further in my favor. When you set this scheme in motion, create 1/1 black minion creature tokens equal to the number of creatures target opponent controls. Then add mana of any one color equal to the number of lands target opponent controls. Then draw cards equal to the number of cards in target opponent's hand.
Balance in Arch Enemy.
Yeah, we're going the opposite direction. We're not trying to balance, we're trying to unbalance.
Mm-hmm.
You can often like create like a 3/3 for each opponent, or take something and everybody has to attack their owners. I think making some 1/1s, your opponent has at least that many creatures, so you're not immediately going nuts there. Get some mana. I think the card draw is the only thing I felt a little guilty about.
It feels a lot more Arch Enemy to get the same number that they have instead of equalizing.
Okay,
If you only had 1 and they had 4 and you get up to 3, then that's fair.
Maybe we got to tip it by going 1 more than that person.
The mana is, when does this happen? The schemes happen during your upkeep?
Or they're like sagas, so they're like start of your first main phase.
Oh, okay. So it is useful mana. Arch Enemy, you got to have some minions. Bringing back the minion flavor. Here's my 10th edition. Better pack the boat. This is the Ark of Salvation. When Ark of Salvation enters the battlefield, exile any number of couples,
Oh, man.
then destroy all creatures. A couple is 2 creatures that share 1 or more creature types. At the beginning of your upkeep, return a couple exiled with Ark of Salvation to the battlefield under their owner's control. Crew 2, Ark of Salvation's power and toughness are each equal to twice the number of creatures exiled with.
Amazing.
Right.
We're getting biblical here on 11th edition.
A little bit, yeah.
So I'm blowing up a whole bunch of stuff. So I might have to like pack a couple of my opponent's creatures in the boat.
I was trying to make it so that you would want to do that.
Because you want the power of the foreheads as you ram into your opponent.
And eventually they come back, but if you have enough couples, or maybe you have 1 goblin and they have 1 goblin, you're not immediately going to return all their creatures.
I guess the flavor here is that you cast Noah after you cast Ark of Salvation so that he can crew the vehicle.
On your next upkeep, Noah will pop out.
Oh!
And he can drive it. Yes.
He can drive it.
Got some inspiration from the party mechanic that has just been released.
Yeah. So now I want to have a full party and then meet on a double date.
Could be 2 humans, a human warrior and a human wizard, and then a goblin rogue and probably not a goblin cleric, but whatever.
Yeah, it's your arc. You make the rules.
Yeah.
I got one more card here, 11th edition, Hoards Revenge. So this has 3 casting costs. You can pay 1 or all of them. And then there's an effect for each of those costs that you pay. 1 and a white, each player who controls more creatures than you sacrifices a creature. Black mana, each player has more cards in hand than you discards a card. Red mana, each player who controls more non-basic lands than you sacrifices a land.
So it's a triple split card with fuse.
Or like Escalate, or a twist on the Eventide hybrid cycle.
Like Batwing Broom, for example.
Batwing Broom.
Yeah. It's the white-black one, right?
Did you know that off the top of your head?
Yes.
So if you spend 1 color, you get 1 thing. If you spend the other color, another thing. But we're here on Old Tarkir, so we're trying to get 3 colors on there.
Yeah, I like this. It might be confusing that there's nothing up in the top right.
Have like a symbol, like some sort of icon, maybe some quick reminder text somewhere.
I like the way that these effects line up across colors.
You're sort of relying on the board state a little bit. You can get those costs way down.
The first mode on this brings us all the way back to the Writ of Assessment. It's probably the most common mode that will be chosen on that card.
Wow. We designed the same card, but different.
Yeah. The red mode, it's a Stone Rain if you play a basic land.
Yeah. You're in sort of the land tax mode where if just the way the turns stack up.
Yeah.
Either just like get a super quick Stone Rain or have to like weirdly hold back lands or something.
I suppose being 3 colors is going to encourage you to have non-basic lands.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thanks for joining us for another 11th edition.
If you've got your own version of Balance or a request for the next 11th edition, comment below.
You can also reach us at Magic Design Cast on Twitter and on the Beacon of Creation Discord.
Thanks for watching.